Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Talk About Strange. Thank you for joining me here today. I've got a whole bunch of stuff here to read to you, share with you. These are stories that came in, and there are some like updates, public announcement type of thing, and different things that we're going to talk about. But mostly we have a bunch of a lot of stories with pictures, and just different stuff like that. Some people looking for some advice, and then people just writing in looking for some assistance from either Claire in some situations and or Eva. If you guys remember Eva, Bigfoot is her grandfather, so she's actually a hybrid child that, and her second. How do you say that? Her mother would be a hybrid woman. And then this would be an offspring of first generation, second generation hybrid woman. So, and I don't know if you guys have seen that. Again, it's Eva. She's a model. She was spending time back when we shared this story in Italy. I don't know where she is now. I think she, if I remember rightly, is from, I think, Russia, somewhere in Russia or something like that. Anyway, it's something you might want to check out. Very interesting. Anyway, somebody had a message on here to her looking for some assistance. So we're going to jump right into all that. Just some quick updates. I told you guys I've been working on my siding. Let's take a look at that right now. As you can see, I was working on my siding in double time. So, you know, they say that I can't move as fast as I used to, but I'll tell you what, according to this video, I can really rock it out still. But anyway, here's some neat pictures of what I've been doing there, some pictures of the siding. Thought it might be fun to show you what I got going on here on this part. I got to work around a heat condenser here, so I measured out and cut a piece so I don't have to try to cut all one piece through all this. It's just gonna be a pain in the butt, but hope I do this right. I'm on film. You can actually score these with a knife and snap them too, but I like doing things the hard way. Can any of you guys grab that? At least I found what I was hitting. You know what I love about working alone? Me either. Now let's just throw everything off. All right. I guess I got to keep going across. And so yesterday I was working on the gable end, and man, the ladders have been beating my feet up going up and down the ladders. I'm just not used to that anymore. So I went ahead and decided to build my own set of wooden scaffolding so that I could get up there. Hey guys, I didn't have any scaffolding, so I made a set of kind of makeshift scaffolding. Can you see it there? It's not the most stable, but I was up on that, and I'll tell you what, it was a bit of a pucker moment in the beginning when I got up there, but it's holding up pretty tight. I did a little bit more snugging up on it, but I'm getting that done. So I'll go ahead and use that set over on the other side of the house, and then I think I'm going to use it right across the back so that I don't have to go up and down ladders all on the back, because that really beats you up a little bit on your feet. Anyway, if you're not used to it, because I'm doing it alone. When you got two people, it just flies. So anyway, let's get back onto this here. One of the public announcements comes in from our good friend Driftless, and she says, hi, maybe you've heard, I just saw this, but Dr. Jeff Meldrum passed away. He was an anthropologist and a professor. He's a big advocate of Bigfoot. I'm not sure if advocate is the right word for what he actually is a scientist that believe in Bigfoot. He seemed like a good guy. I never met him, but always wanted to. I hope you're doing well. I'm enjoying all the stories. I'm working on mine. I have had ChatGTP to help. Maybe I'll be brave and enough to send it in. Well, Driftless, please don't be afraid to send it in. We look forward to sharing it. We always enjoy your stuff. I don't know if you guys know this, but Driftless is the one that sent me the foots up here. Our couple, our Bigfoot couple. She handmade them. Very cool. She's also the one that sent me that geode that I did the video where I cut it in half. It was kind of a fun video, and the geode is actually right up here on the shelf. I could pull it down and show it to you, but you can go watch the video and you'll really see it. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. So, she's been sending stuff and I really appreciate it. It was all part of that Fan Mail Friday. But thank you for that update. I did look him up. I don't, I know you would think I would know him because of the business I'm in, but believe it or not, I don't get as much time. You guys know, most of you know me, but the ones that don't know me, I don't get a lot of time. I'm trying to get to that point where I can do this full time. I'm really, I'll tell you what, I get my foot out of the door, like I'm half in, half out sometimes. And I just want to focus more on that. But I did look him up, and yeah, he looks like a very interesting person and a very courageous person to think that he must have been a pillar amongst a lot of you true Bigfoot. What is the word I'm looking for? Enthusiasts. For a lot of you serious Bigfoot enthusiasts, this guy must have been very important because as an actual scientist, having the courage to come out and admit that he believes in it. And I mean, it goes a long way to say to the credibility of Bigfoot actually being out there, somebody like that to come forward and say, yeah, here's some proof that I found, I believe. That's pretty wild, I don't know much about him, but I did look it up a little bit. And I thought that was really cool. Oh, again, today was a little bit chilly in my office, and I'm glad because I love being cozy. And so I'm wearing my new hoodie here to talk about Strange hoodie. You guys, a few of you, since I announced them on the last multiple story, I think it was, you guys went and bought some of these, and I got some great feedback on them. I hope you found, someone came on and asked me, said that they couldn't find the pink one, but it's there. I went and looked. So it came up as purple on the home page. There's a list of the stuff in the store, from the store. If you click on one of them, like the hoodie, it takes you straight to the store. If you scroll down, you can change colors and sizes just by clicking buttons. But if you hit a color, it'll change in a thumbnail, the different color hoodie or shirt, whatever you're after. If you don't see this one, you scroll down further and it will bring up a list. Oops, knocked that right off. It'll bring up a list of hoodies, and you just scroll through and you'll find the Talk About Strange hoodie. But go ahead and check them out. And then, oh, well, I guess that's enough of that. Let's keep going. Anyway, let me see. So what do we got next? Speaking of passing away. So, what a week, right? It's been one of those tough weeks for everybody, I think, out there. I mean, what a somber week. 9/11, we're commemorating or whatever, remembering 9/11 and the people that passed away. There, anybody out here, any of our friends, TAS friends, family, anybody out there, our deepest, sincerest condolences if you lost somebody to 9/11 or knew anybody, from 9/11 that lost their lives or is sick. our deepest condolences and just it's just a sad thing. What a horrible, horrific situation that was. It just shook the world, didn't it? I remember where I was working on a job. We were outside, and I remember the homeowner coming outside, reaching her head out the door, scream, "Oh my God, you guys, come inside. You got to see this. I think we're going to war," or something like that, or something. There was an attack. That's what it was. She says there was an attack. There was an attack. So we went inside and we were watching it on TV when they're showing the first tower burning, and we're just all standing there with our jaws on the floor. And I got cold chills just thinking about it now, remembering. And then we watched that second plane. Seriously, I got chills. We watched that second plane hit that building. Wow. That was horrible. I mean, I really thought we were going to war, straight up. I thought that was it. I mean, our country is at war. And I knew we were going to strike back, and in a big way. But wow, I mean, that was just unbelievable, wasn't it? Anyway, let me move on through all that. Let's get back to some shares here. I just want to put my condolences out there to anybody that has been through any kind of tragedy. It doesn't matter, not just them, but anybody that's had any kind of tragedy in your life. It's just one of those weeks to remember, to connect with your loved ones. You just never know. And make sure, to say, I love you. Right? All right. Enough about that. So what do we got here? All right. Hi, Steve. Please do not share my name. If you choose to read my story, the bad guy mentioned in it is still a potential problem. Unfortunately, I've left certain identifying details out just in case. I keep a low profile so that he doesn't find out where I live, etc. Okay, make sure I'm on the right one here. I guess this is it, because it jumps around a little bit. Dear Steve, I have a lot of stories, UFO and paranormal, that I could share with you, but I didn't even expect to share this one. I wanted to thank you for sharing Sabrina's story and inspired me to write in. Your kindness and understanding was and is beautiful. More than 20 years ago, I got involved with a guy. To be honest, it was a rebound situation, not something I normally do. I'm meaning to say that I wasn't really into him. He stuck to me like glue, though. I'd say I was quite vulnerable at the time, as my parents had passed away. I know he could sense that, and I had become his mark, meaning he'd marked me to take me for everything he could. By the time I knew that, I was stuck. He'd taken all of my money. It's a long story on how he had done that, and not important now. I was also very worn down from his increasing drama. He had become very abusive and I was now his prisoner. He had threatened people I love, and I took that very seriously. I had become aware that he had skipped out of a prison sentence from his native country. I knew he was dangerous. I could not risk anyone else getting hurt. Worse. I should mention that I did try the police, and they didn't help me. That's a long story and not important here either. At one point, after 9 months, his captive, he drugged me to another state in order for him to do some sort of shady work. The whole drive there, he kept pointing out where he could bury me in the desert and that I'd never be found. He would describe in detail how he would dispose of my body. Wow. Excuse me, got an itch. He did this repeatedly, and when he passed wide open spaces, it was utterly terrifying. After so many months in captivity, I was a shadow of myself. I am normally a very strong person and take no shit from anybody. This was different. I was with an actual monster, and it took its toll on me, my spirit, and my physical health. Anyway, after a long, harrowing drive, we arrived at this other state and went to the hotel room. Once inside, he immediately flipped out of nowhere and started waving this glass tabletop over my head. I sat there not knowing whether this would be it for me or not. Again, I had no defense against this deranged ex-special force maniac. He finally put the glass tabletop down and told me to get out of the room because he had a client coming. People may ask why I didn't just make a run for it. At the time, I couldn't because of the threats he had made against the loved ones. Threats I believed he might actually carry out. Remember, he liked to give detailed accounts with these threats. I could not risk these horrific things happening to anyone else. So I went down to the lobby of the hotel that had a little casino. I sat at a slot machine in order to have some place to focus my attention and feel like I was in my own little cocoon. I was broken. A few minutes into zoning out on the slot machine, trying to catch my breath, an older man with amazing blue eyes in a security guard uniform approached me. I happened to be wearing a stone pendant carved by a friend. It's quite spectacular. The security guard said, "That stone is amazing. What does it mean?" I just shrugged at him and said, "I don't know, nothing, I guess." I didn't know, but felt like I couldn't talk. Excuse me. He then said, "Oh, I was just wondering because I collect crystals." I was taken back by that. I looked at him and said, "Oh, so do I." He replied, "I know. I work with Archangel Michael and the other Ascended Masters." Now I'm in total shock. I said, "What?" He then said exactly this. "I know you have gotten involved with someone very bad. We know you think he's going to hurt you and that you're in danger. You need to understand that he cannot hurt you. You have too much protection. No one can even touch you. You're going to get away from him soon. You and everyone will be all right." I sat there stunned, but with the most amazing sense of hope and some relief after so long. After believing I'd be killed violently. He then said, "I'd like to say more, but I'm working and can't go too far." I told him it's okay. He told me exactly what I needed to know. The next day, I left him a piece of that same stone that was in my necklace that I had happened to have with me, with a thank you note at the reception. I never saw him again. I tried to email him once after a long time, as he had given me his card, but only much later got a reply from his son saying he'd gone to Canada. His name was Michael. That's French for Michael, French for Michael. Because of Michael, I think I'm getting that right, Michel, I had the confidence to get away from that monster. The monster left once. Overnight, I packed up and moved out. I went into hiding for some time. He still tries to contact me on various platforms, even after 20 plus years, but I ignore him. The main point of this is I got away because of the blue-eyed security guard named Michael, who read me like a book. Some years later, I found out that someone was compiling a book of stories. It turns out that many people around the world have run into a blue-eyed older man with the same version of the name Miguel. Oh, is it Mitchell? I bet you it's Mitchell. That's what it is. Etc. In every story, Michael saves them from serious danger. I didn't submit to the book. I told only a handful of people over the years. After hearing Sabrina's story, I felt like it was time to share it in case it could give someone else hope who's in a tough spot. Steve, your kindness and understanding with Sabrina really touched me. Thank you for that. You are a truly good man. So, Steve and strangers, I'm telling you all so that you know that angels really are real. If you need one, call out. I hope none of you ever need Michael, but if you do, he will show up, whether in human form or in some other miraculous way. Lots of love to you all, a fellow stranger. All right. Well, stranger, thank you for sharing that with us. And again, we hear all too often about abuse, these abuse cases, situations that people get caught up in. And, you know, it's a horrible thing. And there is help out there. Reach out for help. There's hotlines, there's people, there's ways. So, you know, don't be afraid to, I mean, I know you're afraid, but get help. Get help. You know, it's a terrible thing. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Okay. Let me not say the name right away here. I don't know if he wants it shared. Let me double check just to make sure. All right. I don't think he's hiding his name, but I'm just going to say David. Hiya, Steve. I have recently discovered your channel. I've recently discovered your channel through a recommendation in an email Steve Isdale, How to Hunt, recently read on his channel. As yet, I've only had the opportunity to listen to about half a dozen of your videos, all of which I thoroughly enjoyed, as well as appreciating your no fuss attitude as well as your obvious integrity. Kudos to you. Thank you for that, David. I really appreciate it. I'm writing in hope of pointing both you and Eva in the direction of another channel that I think you will find fascinating and may add lots of new knowledge for your audience. Forgive me, please, if you are already familiar with the channel and I'm merely trying to teach grandmother to suck eggs, as it were. Okay. The channel on YouTube is that of Awasa, aka Northwest Native Tracker. She is a Native American from Oregon and has trained a medicine woman and was trained as a medicine woman and dog soldier. Her stated goal for her channel is to pass on her native lore and knowledge about cryptids. In Eva's case, I wonder if her grandfather is a mountain man. Okay, so here's another one. This is for Eva. I gave birth to, Bigfoot is my grandfather. I think I mentioned this in another story, but turned out I had to pull that story. He does not want it shared. Or did I? Anyway, so Eva is Bigfoot's granddaughter. So second generation hybrid. So her mother would have been a hybrid woman. And then now she is a hybrid offspring from a hybrid woman. So, and Eva is actually was a model in Italy originally from Russia. So if you didn't catch that, Bigfoot is my grandfather. I think she has 2 stories on there. I believe they are under the hybrid. I gave birth to Bigfoot's daughter, hybrid playlist. It's on that playlist. So you can go check that out. Really, really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. Very interesting. Anyway, in Eva's case, I wonder if her grandfather is a mountain man, wild man, as opposed to a Sasquatch. While Awasa's, I want to say Aswa, but it's not. Awisa carries some Sasquatch DNA. She speaks to her adopted uncle, Eong, E-O-N-G, who was one of these men. Apparently, they can be very long-lived, as in hard to believe, up to 10,000 years, though more typically around 700 to 800 or so. According to Awisa, the cryptids language is an ancient form of what is now known as Chinese, and they communicate one way, by writing the kana and kanja, utility twigs, sticks. They also speak it. All right. I want to read that part again. Awisa's, the cryptids language is an ancient form of what would now know as Chinese, and they communicate one way by writing the kana, K-A-N-A, and kanji, K-A-N-J-I, utilizing twigs and sticks. They also speak it. Hence the reports of people hearing samurai chatter in the woods. Some will speak English or the other language too. She describes a different species of Sasquatch she is familiar with or aware of, and has illustrations too. Guanch, G-W-A-N-T-C-H, are the big dome-headed, gorilla-esque guys like Patty. They have red eye shine and are very friendly to humans. Oma, O-H, M-A, are more chimpanzee-looking, also have red eye shine, and are friendly to humans. Skookum, S-C-U-K-O-M, and Yurin, Y-E-R-I-N, also have red eye shine and are very friendly. Gwawi, G-U-G-W-E, the red bone, and sun-faced people are more human-looking but dangerous and can be cannibalistic. Amber eye shine. I think that's quite enough for me. You should hear it firsthand from Awasa's lips. So I hope I have tweaked your curiosity sufficiently for you to go and check her out. NWNativeTraker on YouTube. NWN. So NWNativeTraker on YouTube. All right. If you guys got that. Let me see. With best regards, keep up the great work, Steve. All right. You see, I replied to him, David, thank you so much for your kind words and support. I appreciate your detailed suggestions as to going to another YouTuber. You should also be here to help and support each other. We should all be, I'm sorry, my own words. We should all be here to help and support each other. I haven't had a lot of time, but I will definitely look into that channel. I also appreciate whoever it was that shared my channel and even the fact that Steve shared the topic. I'm also a fan of his, but again, don't get near enough time to enjoy all his content either. Thanks again, and don't be afraid to stay in touch, Steve. And the reply was, Steve, thank you so much for giving me your precious time to reply, especially as you have a lot on your plate, as it were, at present. I find Awasa's content fascinating. She has quite some tales to tell, which I am sure will be of interest and benefit to you and your listeners. I especially think she has valuable info on basic communication for those interested in seeing if they can make contact, or just to tell them how they come in peace and will not disturb them. Snapped sticks on trails are their sign warning of a danger in the area. All right, it might be you, an unknown human, or another unfriendly cryptid. Dogs can be an issue, as apparently coyotes are, coyotes want to prey on their young ones. So always best to keep a dog under tight control. If you become aware of one approaching in your vicinity, a cough, according to her, is a universal pause sign. Treat them with respect and treat the area as if you were visiting a person's home and land, and show them same courtesies will go a long way to building mutual respect. When she was around 6 years of age, a young adult Oma female took refuge on her family's property for several years, so she had a lot of close interaction with Genjin, J-E-N-J-I-N, Genjin. Whilst there, she was courted by and chose to marry a Guanch, Wantch, named Guanch, who in turn adopted her. She has a fascinating story of, doggone it all. She has a fascinating story of being carried by Guanch to testify at a trial. She has a fascinating story of being carried by Guanch to testify at a trial. Interesting. She also lived in a yurt for, okay, well, that I don't know what a yurt is, for 6 to 8 months and was forever being harassed by a grassland as opposed to a mountain man, dog man. As opposed to a mountain dog man. It never harmed her, but was just a royal pain in the butt. A native friend of hers apparently got fed up with one's behavior, and they ended up having a running fight all through the bush one night. Then they became friends. Enough. I'm blathering on and taking up your precious time again. I'll leave it there and tag on links to a couple of her shorts to give you a quick teaser. Best regards, David. Okay. Sorry, I kind of stumbled through that a little bit, but all right. What do we got here next? Geoff. Okay, this is more of a comment, I think, than a story, but Geoff wrote in and said, well, good morning, sir. Well, I should go back to, first off, David, thank you for sending that in. Again, it's very interesting stuff, and I don't mind sharing other channels if they're good channels and good people. So, I would recommend with you that people go check that out. I think it'd be pretty interesting for them. And when I get a chance, I know I have not had a chance to go check it out, so I will. As soon as I get a chance. We'll see what this winter brings, right? All right, Geoff. Well, good morning, sir. It's turning into 6 a.m. here in St. Paul, Minnesota, 25 degrees. I got up there in the morning. I am a medically retired cab driver that had a stroke right before Thanksgiving a year ago, and they told me no more cab driving, and I just wanted to be able to make the jump to the work world. So I am on Social Security now. And I just ran across your site this morning because I get up and I turn on the video. I've been watching a lot of videos about Idaho 4. It's amazing. And anyway, I'm going to finish watching your video and follow you. Thank you. Here's my story. About the time I got on the internet, when I bought my new Dell computer in the mid-'80s, I had always listened to WCCO radio 830, but because of the Viking game, I put the radio on 1500 KSTP, and lo and behold, when I turned the radio on around 1 or 2 in the morning to get ready to go, Dr. Cab, there was Art Bell and his glory, in all his glory. And I started listening to him, and then I started listening to Jeff Rentz, R-E-N-S-E, Rentz, and I still do. I listened to George Norrie for a long time, but I don't get up that early, but I didn't, but I don't. Let me see. For a long time, but I didn't, but I don't. I get up early, but I don't. I go to bed around 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock or 8 or 9 at night. So, but anyway, I'm going to look at some of your videos and hear about your story. And thank you let me see. Thank you so much, Geoff. All right. Am I saying that right? Geoff? Geoff? Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Thanks for writing in. And I appreciate the kind words. All right. I enjoy some of those channels too. They don't make them like they used to, do they? All right. This comes in from John. Okay. I'm sending these pics. They were taken on a trail camera on some private property about 3 to 4 miles southeast of Rogers, Arizona. I have asked several people what are in the pictures, and they don't know either. Okay, so this is one of those ones. He sent a bunch of trail cam pictures, and he's kind of hoping you guys can tell him what you see, what's on there. I mean, I'll post them up while I'm reading that, and just take a look through them and see if you can see anything there. I mean, I didn't particularly, except for the one. I'm remembering the right one here, because I'm recording. I'm not watching the pictures right now, but there was one that really had a head look, like an alien head type look to it or something. But neat stuff. All right, Leah, hi. I just subscribed to your channel, and sometimes my emails will get deleted or lost, but I thought I'd try again before moving on to Facebook or Messenger. Anyway, my crazy backstory is that God saved me the first time when I was 5 from making a bad decision involving an abusive older cousin I couldn't get away from in a train. I heard God telepathically tell my grandfather to go back and get me, and it was pretty close because the angel of death showed up and everything. I believe being in God's presence temporarily increased my vibration and energy output to a shooting star, because clusters of positive and negative higher dimensional entities, 4D, through 10 p.m. is D, started showing up in 3D to do an experiment to try to get a bite or a drink or something, chi, energy from me. Interesting. Plus, I got volunteered for a couple of hush-hush government programs to boot. 60-plus encounters and counting, plus some ghosts and a few near-death experiences, etc. I tried to forget most of it, but recently I started remembering the cryptid bits to the writing about my life that I started in 2013. I did reach out to the Proof is Out There History Channel in 2022. A week later, a small plane mysteriously hit a neighbor's house. God moved it in Hermantown, Minnesota, October 2022. I felt a pain in my head from a very angry telepathic base commander. A few weeks later, I started feeling like I was being stalked. A large sounding, somewhat hyena, somewhat wolf or coyote cackle from a dog man could be heard outside my son's bedroom window. I tried to record it, but the sound stopped every time. He broke our motion light detector. He made a 6-foot urine stain in our driveway in mid-November. My husband and I came out back from a date night, and I could smell wet dog, urine, and sulfur, and a rot like outside the detached garage that's about 50 feet from our house. Excuse me. I prayed about it and made a dream catcher that night, and thankfully, the menacing feeling of being stalked went away. However, the government thug shows himself to my kids and telepathically ordered my son to go into the woods by himself. They say it and we hear it subliminally. So just have that curiosity to go do something or urge to use the loo, bathroom, get a picture, rest on a rock. In this case, my son was about to go inside and play video games, so he started laughing about how strange it was that he suddenly had this urge to go wandering off by himself in the woods, even though he knew better. Grr. One night, late June 14th, 2025, my 11-year-old daughter was reading and suddenly could hear tapping outside of her second-story bedroom window that sits on the corner of the house. And there were a couple of fresh scratches on the wood about 10 foot up where it was painted last summer. She knew to decide that it must be a bird and went to bed. They can't engage us for a snack if we don't acknowledge them. That's why dogmen step out from behind trees to give you a good view and get the adrenal gland drug in your blood flowing. The first time I saw a dogman was in Leadville, Colorado around 2004 when I was taking my stepson back to his mother. We went past a dog park and suddenly this black wolf shape started running around and chasing all the dogs while frantic people called their dogs back to them and hopped in their cars. The road in front of us got clogged up fast, so my stepson was all for jumping out of the car and running over to find his mom, who he could see about a half a block away. I told him that the last thing his mother wanted to see was her son being ripped to shreds in front of her. Meanwhile, a large wolf clearly cleared the dog fence and then stood up and started to look at me. I quickly glanced in a different direction and told my stepson not to look at the dogman either. My stepson's mom had said it had been going on for about 2 weeks and she wanted to move out of that area into, just a second, into Summit County where it was safer. I don't think any place is safe anymore. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to share, as my hubby likes his normal life and doesn't want to hear it. Laugh out loud. My first 2 encounters after the train were a Wendigo zombie deer in the backyard, and a few weeks later we were camping when a parasite Sasquatch man told me he loved me and would never let anyone hurt me again if he took me away as a snack. God told me to yell after he picked me up, so I got up about 7 foot up into the lowest tree branch and cussed at instead. Thank you for listening to me ramble. Cheers, Leah. Nice. Leah, thank you for sharing that with us. It definitely sounds like you've been through an awful lot of stuff and a lot of experiences. Wow. I mean, that's some wild. Excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat. That is some wild stuff. I mean, wow. To go through that your entire life, I can't hardly fathom what that must have been like, what that must be like. But again, I appreciate you having the courage to share that information with us. I know sometimes it can be tough to talk about that stuff, and it's nice to have an outlet to talk about it. So, we appreciate it. And I hope, I know I a little time on some of that, so I hope I did all right reading it for you. What do we got here next? Tiffany. Hey, Steve, it's Tiffany again. I know I haven't written in a while. However, I had so much on my college to finish, and I have done that. I've also have had to have cataract surgery on my right eye. I am thankful to say that I now have depth perception, and I can cover my left eye and actually see out my right eye without everything looking like a glass that has been covered in grease. Wow. Really interesting. Wow. I'm glad you got that taken care of. I told you I was working on my Bachelor of Science in Healthcare Management degree. I have now earned my diploma, and this Friday I will be beginning on my Master's of Science in Healthcare Management degree. Congratulations on that. That's awesome. Good job. Good job. I am very happy about accomplishing what I have set out to do, which is earn my bachelor's degree, and now I'm taking it even further and will be keep going until I get my doctorate degree. I told you that I had some stories left to tell you, and now I will tell you those stories. All right, let's get into it. In December of 1993, close to Christmas time, my sister had lost her baby girl to SIDS. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's horrible. Terrible. She began seeing a little blonde-haired girl who was wearing turquoise colored dress in her house at a certain time. She told her husband about it, and he thought that she was losing her mind. It's usually how that goes, right? That is until his mother came to visit them. She was in the living room when she asked if anyone else seen the little blonde-headed girl wearing a turquoise dress. I believe that the little girl that my sister and her mother-in-law were seeing was her daughter that had recently passed away. Years later, the same sister bought a new house with her husband. It was an older home, and my sister started smelling cherry tobacco in certain areas of the home. I myself have visited my sister's home and have smelled cherry tobacco. My sister learned that an old man had died that used to own the house. His favorite tobacco that he would smoke was cherry tobacco cigars. My sister buys cherry tobacco cigars and puts them in areas of the house where cherry tobacco is smelled. Very nice. Very cool. I know that many people were wondering what kind of blood I have because I mentioned that I had a different type of blood from a different species in me. I will tell you that other kinds of species have in me. Some of my ancestors are from a place in Scotland, called the Isle of Skye. The home of my ancestors is Dunvegan Castle. My ancestors are the MacLeods. The first chieftain met a fairy princess on a bridge. He fell in love with the fairy princess. However, her father refused to allow them to marry, but would only allow them to be handfast for a year and a day. Handfast is being married, but it is not ceremonial. The year and a day was over. The fairy princess had to return to her people and could not bring anything from the human world to hers. During a year and a day, the fairy princess had become pregnant and had a son with a chieftain. When it came time for her to leave, she requested that the chieftain never allow the baby to carry because she would hear it from the fairy kingdom and it would make her sad. The chieftain was extremely saddened by the fairy princess leaving. As a way to attempt to bring joy to the chieftain one more, the family member had a ball in the castle. The maid servant that was watching the lady left out of the room to watch the people dancing. The baby began to cry. When the maiden servant went back in to care for the baby, she could hear singing. The fairy princess had given the baby a cloth which was called the fairy flag. When in battle during times that it looked as if the battle was to be lost by the clan members, the fairy flag could be unfurled and they would win the battle. The flag can only be unfurled. Am I saying that right? Unfurled? UNFURLED 3 times, which it was already been unfurled 2 times, one of which was during a battle and the other of which the cattle were dying. Had been said that when the fairy flag is unfurled, the third final time the fairy flag and the one who unfurls it will disappear. I am a descendant of that fairy princess and a chieftain, so I have their blood. If there's anyone who does not believe this, they can look it up, and the evidence is there. It can be found on Google because it is a true historical event. The fairy flag is displayed in a case in Dunvegan Castle. Interesting. Wow. So I put that picture up of the fairy flag. So it's not a very good image. So you guys can probably Google that and get a much better image. But I put it up just the same. Oh, pardon me. Like I said, I've been working on that siding, so I had to get a pretty early start this morning to try and get some of this stuff shared for you guys. It's Saturday already. I mean, I swear, it's like we have Monday and Sunday. There's just a week just flies by. All right. Well, Steve, those were all my stories, and they are real stories. I sent you another email with the historical written story of the chieftain and the fairy princess and a picture of the fairy flag in its case, which is displayed in Dunvegan Castle. I do hope Claire and the other hybrids are safe. Let me see. It made me angry to learn how these government officials treated her and the other hybrids. I am a veteran of Army National Guard, and it greatly disappoints me that our government would treat people in this country. How people, maybe meant how. She did not deserve that. Neither did the others. I am so sorry that the government of our country that I signed my life on a dotted line for has done this to her and the other hybrids. I don't know if anyone else knows what angry tears are, but yes, I had angry tears running down my face at the thought of these people being put through that trauma. Steve, please tell Claire that I am so sorry that she was done this way. If there's anything I can do, please let her know. In the near future, I am planning on buying a large parcel of land and building houses on it. I will also have a nut tree, fruit tree, vegetables, berries, herbs, chickens, cows, and a pond on the property. Maybe I will be able to build enough houses there where they could all live. I know I will build houses for myself and my family members. I just want to develop a safe community where everyone living in it can feel free and safe and in peace. And enough to sustain us. You have a beautiful daughter. God bless you, your family, and all of the TAS family. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And that's very kind of you to do and to put that offer out there for people. I can tell you have a beautiful heart and you're a very caring person. She did send one more quick part here. Hello, it's me again, Tiffany. I enjoyed hearing you read my stories on your channel. All right, that must be one of the other ones. You did a great job. Don't listen to people say you are not. Well, a good reader? Oh, yeah, I shine it off. I'm not the best reader. I know that, but I read these pretty straight through, and it is what it is. Take it or leave it, right? Oh, you did a great job. All right. You are doing a great job and will get even better as time goes on. I am on week 3 of my capstone classes and another class. 2 more weeks to go until I finish with these 2. And then I will start my final class before I get my diploma and begin working on my Master's of Science and Healthcare Management degree. I hope you are feeling better. Summer colds can be the worst. This one goes back a ways. Here are 2 more stories. One goes on hand in hand with the nutty Bigfoot story. You guys remember the nutty Bigfoot. If you had not seen the nutty Bigfoot, you got to go watch that. It is really a cute story. I mean, really neat. When I was a young teenager, we had an older couple who lived across the road from us. They had a huge wooded piece of land. They had a trail that their grandsons would ride their 3- and 4-wheelers on. They would let my little brother hunt and explore on their trail. One day when my brother had been hunting on their land, he came running into the front door calling for me. His eyes were wide and he looked pale. He told me to come with him because there was something that I had to see. I asked, "What is it?" He said, "No, you have to come see it." I followed him across the road and into the 4-wheeler trail. We walked along a way upon the trail, and we were deep in the woods when I came upon it. There was a place on the trail that had formed mud puddles that had recently dried up. Well, I remember seeing them when I was just back riding on those old trails. In one of these dried up mud puddles was a huge footprint. It was the footprint of a shoeless foot. The toes were splayed, and you could see where it had an arch in its foot. I put my foot beside it, and I know that I have a small foot, but this footprint swallowed both my and my brother's foot. We had put his foot in front of mine. Now I wear a size 2 dress shoe, so you can imagine how small my foot was then. There's only one thing that could have made that footprint a Bigfoot. There is no telling how long they had lived there in that area. I do know there have been sightings all over Keaton, which actually is the area that I live in, and Goodwater, which is the next town over. I am trying to encourage a man I know to send his stories about Bigfoot experiences. Hopefully he will. Okay, and the second story I'm sending you is about a haunted trailer I owned. Okay, well, the footprint thing is pretty neat. It's too bad you were so young or didn't get a picture of that. That would have been awesome if you'd gotten that, right? All right. I was married to my first husband and expecting my second child. We were living in my mother-in-law's house, but we wanted something of our own. I started looking in newspaper and sales catalogs for houses for sale. One day I came across a 3-bedroom mobile home that was in my price range. I was excited because it was very cheap, but it was in good condition for asking price. We went to go look at it and we saw it needed a little work, but we could fix it up reasonably fast. It only needed a new floor, but because it had some soft spots. But the roof did not leak and everything else was in good condition. I paid the man for it, and my mother-in-law said we could put it on her backyard. After my husband finished the floor and put it all together and things, we moved in. I had given birth to my youngest son by cesarean section and had my tubes tied in the same time, so I was unable to help. About 2 weeks after, we moved in and began noticing things happening. We would be into bed at night and hear someone walking up the hallway, making loud doorsteps that sounded like boots on wood. I think he meant footsteps. Sound like boots on wood. And stop in front of the bedroom door. One of us would get up to look, see what had broken, or see who had broken in our home. We would open a door, but nobody would be there in the hall. We searched our house and looked around outside, but couldn't find anyone. The cabinet doors would open and slam shut by themselves. I found out through someone who had known the man who bought my home, the man I bought my home from that a mother and her son had died in this house. Oh, goodness. One day I was watching television when magnets were knocked off from the refrigerator and flew across the living room and hit the wall on the far side. These were the alphabet and number magnets you get for children to help them learn their numbers and alphabet. One night I was in the living room feeding my baby his bottle when something started hitting the wall in the bedroom so hard it sounded like it was going to knock it down. The next day, desperate, I called a priest. I'm not Catholic, but I needed help with this ghost. I asked him if he could come over and bless my house because there is a ghost in my home. He said that he could come get some holy water and when I went to the church and the priest gave me a jar of holy water. He told me to sprinkle the water everywhere in every room of my house and put the rest of in a bowl and put it on my dresser in my bedroom. That night I woke up by something splashing in the water. I reached over and started smacking my husband, trying to wake him up. Just then a drop of water landed just above my upper lip. I called the priest the next morning and told him the holy water did not work. He told me that I must have had a mental problem. I guess the mental problem was contagious because it was me, my husband, and some friends that experienced the ghost's antics. Well, that was a rude thing for a priest to say to you. One morning, my son was playing in the living room on the living room floor. I was reading a book. I looked up and saw a man squatted down beside my son. He was white, very slim, and had on blue jean shorts and tan work boots. He had on blue jean shorts and tan work boots. I could see the strings on the raw edges of the shorts. I asked, "Who are you?" He looked at me and disappeared. I went around the house demanding that the ghost leave my home in the name of Jesus. After that, everything settled down and the lights had become brighter when they used to be dim. No matter how bright a bulb I put in the sockets, I learned my husband was hiding the fact that he was smoking weed from me along with his mother's help. He was introduced by crack by his ex-wife and began being more abusive to me, which he was abusing me after I had my son and was unable to lose the weight. He began selling everything out from underneath me and he eventually sold our home. I lost my child because of him and his family. Oh my God. It's horrible. Finally, one day when we had been living in our car, I prayed to God. I said, "God, I can't keep living like this. Look in my heart, and you know you will know it is true. Please help me out of this situation. And that same day, he was driving and was paranoid because of a black car was behind us. He went off the road down a steep incline and wrecked a car in some people's yard. He asked if we could leave the car there overnight and asked if they knew somewhere we could stay overnight. The people told him about a man with a camper. He grabbed my arm and made me walk to the guy's house. The guy had a German Shepherd and it would sniff us. It ignored me and touched on his pocket. God answered my prayer. Later that night, police surrounded the place and took him to jail. Another police officer took me to my mother's house. He had been stealing copper out from under houses while I was at work, and I had no idea what he had been doing. He would also take my money as soon as I cashed my check. I know where all the money went to. He was in jail for a year, and during that time, I was able to get a divorce. I have brain damage and other injuries from his abuse, which he abused me in every way a woman could be abused. The brain damage is from him suffocating me, then doing CPR on me several times to bring me back. Holy smokes. I'm glad I no longer have to deal with him. I have been divorced since 2008. If any listeners are being abused, it is better to get out of the situation because although you may love them, you cannot change them. They will only get worse. If I would not have gotten away from him with God's help, I may not be alive today. Please don't say in abusive marriages or relationships, no matter how please don't stay in any abusive marriages or relationships, no matter how they may be threatening you. Life is so much better now. Thank you for sharing these stories, Steve. I hope my experiences can help someone else's experiences the same things. I will be sending more stories to you. God bless you, your family, and your listeners. Goodness gracious. Oh, my God. What is it with these people, abusing other people? I mean, for crying out loud. Life is tough enough as it is. Why you got to be abusive? Unreal. But it happens all over. It happens all over. Just a damn shame. But you got to get help. She's right. You got to get help. It's scary, but you got to get help. You got to get out of that situation. Don't stay. Look for the early signs. And that's the other thing. I tell young people, you got to look for those early signs going into a relationship. There's signs. You just got to look for them. Look it up. Any relationship, take your time. Get to know the person. Get to know their personality. Don't rush in because you just never know. Once you're in one of those situations, it's so hard to get back out. But you can usually count on somebody. You tend to be afraid to reach out for help from your loved ones. But if you got a father, tell them because their father's gonna be the first one, the fastest one to find a way to get you out of it. So, but anyway, boy, wowza. Sorry you went through that. It's terrible. Thank you for having the courage to get out and to share your stories with us. All right. Okay. All right, Daryl. We got another one here. Okay, let's see what we got. Which one is this one? With pics. All right, my name is Daryl Jones. I live in Sampson Park, Texas, formerly a part of Fort Worth, Texas. Back in 2015, I went to a wildlife management area hoping to find Sasquatch. You guys are going to like this. It's short, but there's some pictures. It was 11 months later that I found out that I did find them. Over the past 10 years, I have visited them yearly. In early spring, usually, I go into the area talking to them so they might realize that I am not scared of them and I am friendly. Although I have found several dozens of them in my videos, I have only seen them on my first visit and did not realize that I had until a few weeks ago when I magnified the portions of the video and found a small group of about 50 yards away from me. I only thought it was some dead or burned wood. I seen them in my videos as they were looking out with their from their hiding spots to see me. I know that they are curious about me, but not curious enough to let me know that they are there. But there was one incident when they scared a pig that was about 30 feet away from me, and the pig ran down the game trail, and it was on and crossed a dry creek bed that I was coming out of. Then I heard a very deep, slow growl. I immediately figured that it was a juvenile who was trying to catch the pig. The pig might have weighed about 15 pounds. I just said, okay, and continued my way. I wish I had stayed and talked to him, but I thought it might be best if I just continue walking since I just pissed him off. Right. I am wondering if you might ask Eva, come up again, if she could give me some advice on getting them to come out of their hiding and communicate with me. Maybe she can ask her grandfather about it. Hopefully he will understand that I am on a humanitarian mission involving getting them recognized by the government. I certainly would not want to harm or alarm her. I would not want to alarm her grandfather in thinking that I have an evil intentions towards them. I'd love to hear back from you and get your opinion on this request. Thank you for taking the time to answer my email. Daryl, Sasquatch friend. All right. See, that was short. And I posted those pictures up that he sent to us. He's got a YouTube channel that he put them on. And, we had a little back and forth communication on all that. Because it was a little bit hard to find his channel. So it's Daryl Jones, but if you just put Daryl Jones, it brings up a blues singer or something like that, or guitarist. So you have to put it in the proper way. Daryl, I think it was Daryl A.I. Jones. I had a hard time finding it. But maybe, he can help us, and we'll be able to find his channel on there. So I'll see what I can do. He sent me some more stuff, so I'll see what I can do. But anyway, he sent me some pictures. But I would love to invite you guys over to go see his channel and give him some support, Okay. Oh, hey. That was it. We got through all of them. That was a lot. And there's a lot of them to share there. Really, some really interesting stuff. I got more stories coming and more stories to share as I get opportunities. So I'm going to get this one done and shared with you. I've already been on here for about 2 hours. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to use this whole thing. So anyway, thanks for joining me here today. I really appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed those stories. And that's all I have for now. Thanks for joining me. I will see you again really soon, all right?